It's Virtual NAMM 2021 at Geekazine.com. Continuing coverage, NAMM 2021 Virtual. Jeffrey Powers here. We're here with Jonathan of Yamaha. How you doing, Jonathan?
I'm great, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Why don't you tell everybody your role at Yamaha? And of course, we're going to be showing off a cool new saxophone. So you go right into that. So go ahead.
Yeah, man. So my name is Jonathan Goldman. Again, I'm the product manager for wind instruments here at the Yamaha Corporation of America. And we're going to talk about the new digital saxophone, the YDS-150 digital saxophone. We have had so much fun bringing this thing to market and messing around with it and getting it in the hands of artists and players and really seeing what this thing can do. It's just been a great journey, a learning process and a great journey for us. The whole main thing about this is we really want people to be able to explore their musical side, whether they are new to making music or whether they are experienced musicians or somebody that used to play back in high school or college, and for whatever reason, life took them in a different direction and they want to reconnect with playing an instrument, playing the saxophone later in life. And the digital sax is just a fantastic vehicle for anyone along their path of their musical journey.
Okay. So tell me, it's all one unit, right? You don't have to break it down or anything, do you?
No, you don't have to break it down at all. It is all one unit. The mouthpiece assembly does come off. But for storage and putting away in the case, it does not have to come off. You can leave it fully assembled, and it's kind of that it's ready to play when you are. It does have a battery power option. You can play 4 AAAs, or it can be USB powered via the computer. It has USB MIDI. You can plug it in, work with any popular digital audio workstation. You can use it as a synth controller. You can just use it as a practice tool. I think one of the greatest things, uses that you can have for the digital sax is if you live in an apartment or you have roommates or if you have small children or just any place where an acoustic saxophone might not be the best choice in terms of keeping your neighbors or the people that live in your house happy. You can just plug your headphones in this thing and it's completely silent. The only thing somebody might hear is the little clicking of the keys. So you can use it on an airplane.
Just like with me being a drummer, the silence is better and you get the sounds and that's great. Let's talk a little bit about the keys. How are they? Well, first of all, this instrument's not a beginner instrument. It's not an intermediate nor advanced instrument, correct? It's just one.
It's in everything. It can be for somebody that's never played a wind instrument or even never played any instrument before. So I kind of view those customers as this is another choice somebody could make if they wanted to learn music, as opposed to picking up a more generally recreational instrument like guitar or keyboard. They could now pick up this digital saxophone if they want to learn the saxophone instead.
Okay.
If somebody isn't a player, whether they be an entry-level player all the way through a professional, then there are uses for the YDS-150 for all of those levels of performer.
Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Why the straight look, this soprano sax look to it instead of like a tenor sax with the little curve?
I'm not really sure that. I think the thought was just it's a simple setup. Mm-hmm. It's less complicated in terms of creating the actual brass bell that is used on it. I think it's just the way everything lined up from an ease of use perspective that made the most sense. But I think the important thing was more about getting the key layout right than the shape of whether there's a bent bell or not. Okay. The key layout is taken directly actually from the layout of the Yamaha Custom EX Alto. There's a couple of little tweaks here and there for that straight instrument style playing, but for the most part, a transition from the YDS-150 to an acoustic saxophone is very complementary in terms of how your fingers work on the keys.
Yeah, and I'm very interested to see how these keys work, because the one thing I always loved about playing a saxophone was that whole idea, you're just sitting there, and all of a sudden you hit the pads and go that little tappy sound. And of course that's with almost any reeded type instrument. So the next question is, how responsive are these keys as opposed to like from a saxophone itself?
Sure. Obviously, they're plastic, so they are lighter to the touch. They move faster generally than a regular saxophone, but it's a very natural feel, like the motion, your fingers going up and down. It's very comfortable. It's easy to adjust to it. And the cool thing about the digital sax is it comes with a mobile app that has the ability to adjust the sensitivity of the response of the key. So you won't feel a difference, but if you're used to putting your fingers down at a certain speed and having a certain delay in how the sound comes out, you can adjust the digital sax to a more normal, natural feel to that.
Okay. So if you're a beginner and you picked up a saxophone and you feel that these keys are too heavy, you could actually adjust that to make the response a little bit better until you can work up your fingers to get into that, correct?
Yeah, you work more the speed of the response. You're not adjusting the actual weight of the travel of the throw of the key. You're just adjusting how fast the digital side, how fast you hear a response.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
it's
if you
more
were
personalization than anything else, but if you're, you can kind of dial it into whatever's most comfortable for you.
Okay. But if you were a beginner, it's going to be about the same response time as down the line, and of course as close to a saxophone as possible. Yeah. So okay, I think I just answered my own question there.
I love when that happens.
Yeah. So the tones, of course, you could do a saxophone, you could do a clarinet, you could do. How many tones are in this unit?
So it comes with just over 70 onboard sounds. 50 of which are actual saxophone samples of real Yamaha instruments. So we have samples from all the EX lineup of soprano, alto, and tenor. We've got custom Z samples from soprano, alto, and tenor. We've got the 62 Barry. We've got a bunch of different styles of saxophone playing. So we've got like that slap tongue Barry. We've got classical alto. We've got rock versions of all of them. And then there's just about 20 fun synth sounds that are built in. And then you get 20 open user presets. So you can go into the mobile app and you can define a bass sound, or not bass, B-A-S-S, B-A-S-E. You can define, you start with a bass sound and then you can manipulate effect and you can modulate that sound to something that you love. And then you can save it as you get 20 user presets. You can save it save on board the saxophone. So if you don't have the app up for some reason, you can just utilize that memory slot within the YDS itself.
Okay, perfect. Now we talked a little bit beforehand about, because a few years ago I developed Bell's palsy, which is one side of the face goes pretty much numb, and then, or not numb, but it'd be no use out of it, and then it slowly came back. But I still have problems, like for instance creating an embouchure. So blowing into, this is a synthetic reed, so blowing into something like that, how much harder or easier is it to do on something like the YDS-150?
Yeah, as far as making sound on the YDS-150, the word harder never actually comes into play. It is as easy right out of the box as a recorder. And the beauty of that is the mouthpiece reed combination is really just there for the authenticity of how you play a saxophone. It's actually an alto sax mouthpiece, and the synthetic reed, but it doesn't create the sound via vibration of the reed with the instrument the way an acoustic saxophone would. So the sound is created via the breath pressure sensor that is below the mouthpiece, right above the onboard speaker. And all that's doing is reacting to the breath, the air pressure that you put into the instrument. So you don't need to be able to have those tight, firm corners. You don't need the perfection that's required to create a good saxophone sound right off the bat. Like, I'm a trombone player. When I try to play a saxophone or any other woodwind instrument that's reed based, I sound like I'm hurting a small animal. It's not pretty, but when I picked up the digital sax right out of the box, first note, good saxophone sound. And that all has to do with the breath pressure sensor. So really all you need to be able to do is blow into the digital sax the way you would a recorder, and you're going to get a quality sound right off the bat.
Okay. Yeah, and you can't really stretch out the to do the right sounds for your trombone player. So.
Yeah, no. Yeah, unfortunately. We do have an analog controller on the back that'll do pitch bend and kind of that whammy bar of the digital sax. But no, unfortunately, I can't do what I'm used to and just glissando all the way down.
If you called up tones like electric guitar or something like that, you can definitely do pitch bends that way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's a right on the right-hand side, to the lower side of the instrument, there's a thumb rest. It would be on the back from here. But there is a little analog stick, like a joystick, like you would have on a game controller.
Okay.
You get that on, kind of like what you get on an Xbox, really. And that there's different pitch manipulations, a portamento, and things that you can do with the analog controller.
Okay.
And you can define those in the app too. So you can go either a half step, you can go a whole step. You can do a lot of cool stuff. It allows you to scoop into a note or bend down at the end of the note.
Okay. You said that there's a battery on here, correct?
Yeah, it's double. It'll take 4 AAAs, or you can be hardwired via the USB-C micro USB-B port.
How long on the AAAs?
All depends on how much you're playing. The way I was using it, I think I was playing about a half hour a day, and I didn't have to change the batteries for, the better part of over a week.
Okay.
But if you're a more serious player, like a real saxophone player, and practicing every day, it'll probably run through it a little quicker than that.
How would it connect up to, let's say, a mixing board console? Would you need a wireless unit? Would you need? Is there an XLR port or anything like that?
So no XLR 1/4 inch. What we have is a basic 1/8 inch stereo mini headphone out, but that can be converted to go direct out to a mixer. You can also go in, if you went in through a pedal board using that, if you changed used adapters to get out to a pedal board, or if you were going through a computer, then you could go out from the computer through, like a recording interface to a mixer. Obviously, as the chain gets longer, there's the more the possibility of latency and things like that to get in the way. But you could literally go direct out just from an adapter from the headphone out into the mixing board. Yeah,
because I'm assuming using that speaker would probably not be a good sound for that. But
no. The speaker is cool. It's fun to have right in that moment, if you've had a couple of eggnogs and you're got the family by the fire and you want to play through some Christmas tunes, or in my case, Hanukkah tunes, or, the little speaker, it's fun for that. But if you were looking to do a little more serious performance, definitely using the wired headphone out has a much more robust sound quality to it. It takes the level of realism of the digital saxophone sound and increases it by a significant amount. You get a little more of the audible reverb that's built into the samples. And then obviously, if you're manipulating pitch using the app or manipulating the sound using the app, it's a lot more present using the onboard output.
Okay, perfect. We could go on a lot longer. I got a lot of questions, but I think we'll leave it at that. Let's talk about price and availability of the YDS-150.
Yeah, so MSRP is $1,078. I believe the average street price we're seeing for is like $799. So that's what is all over the internet, and these are shipping now. They're available. You can get orders through any authorized Yamaha wind instrument dealer.
Okay, is the saxophone the only digital, or are you do you have a digital trombone?
Well, we don't have actual digital brass instruments. I think it's kind of an interesting thing to bring up because for years, we're talking since the early 90s, Yamaha has had a practice environment for brass instruments called silent brass. Mm-hmm. And it's a practice mute that fits into the acoustic instrument. I use them pretty much every day here. A few years ago, we updated them with fantastic new sound technology, but it is a practice mute that's designed to work with an acoustic instrument. And we've always had questions from people: when are you going to do a silent brass for, or silent? It's something for saxophones and so this, for people that are looking to really utilize this tool as a practice tool, this is kind of it. So yeah, we don't have digital brass instruments, but we do have a way to create that kind of digital practice environment. And because it has the same kind of headphone output on the converter box like this one has, like the digital sax has, you could utilize the silent brass for live performance through a mixer, through a PA system, through a pedal board. I've seen a lot of trumpet players and trombone players do that over the years, where they run it through and put some chorus and flange on it and delay, get some angry stank on the sound, and
angry stank. I like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I think all of us that are my age played in a ska band at some point when we were younger. So we all really, back then, in the 90s, the silent brass was pretty popular, and it still is to this day. So we all messed around with that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right. Well, USA.yamaha.com, well, for the US site, of course, Yamaha.com for international. This has been awesome. YDS-150, I'd like to thank Jonathan. I'd like to thank you for coming on and explaining this whole thing to me. And we'll see if I can get one in the shop and see how easy it is to start playing saxophone again. Get some Kenny G going.
Oh, man. Yeah, this thing's perfect for it. I think we have a Kenny G patch right on there.
Awesome. I'll have to grow out my hair. So,
all right.
Well, Jonathan, thanks a lot for coming on, and you have a great NAMM.
Hey, thank you, Jeffrey, for having me, and thanks everybody for watching. Check out the YDS-150 digital saxophone, and I really appreciate the time.
Thanks a lot for watching this video by Geekazine. If you're over on geekazine.com or youtube.com/Geekazine, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell notification so you know when the next video comes out. Until next time, you guys geek out and take care.